Burning Core have got an incredibly strong 3v3 topside in the early stages. Aatrox, Elise, and Arya are all champions that are known for their ability to skirmish early, particularly get dives off. We said that maybe it'd be quite hard to dive Ino on this Renekton, but if any champions were going to do it, it would be the trio that Burning Core have got here.
I'm going to be very interested in watching this Elise in general, because I'm not hugely aware of how much Elise has even seen pro play. I don't actually think she's seen any pro play this summer.
Yeah.
Maybe at least in the LJL. At least in the LJL, I'm sure of that much.
Definitely not a particularly popular pick. But we'll have to see if Flawless can get some stuff going. Obviously, a guy who has been much maligned for his play on some of the meta carries. Are we just seeing a little bit of an all-in here? Okay, Soul and Secret flexing the power of actually having two champions as opposed to one champion and their pet.
Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're being too right there, mate, onto one of my mains. I don't appreciate you being so right about Yuumi here. In all fairness, Blitzcrank Sun seems very much sold that Burning Core are very far ahead here at this moment in time, and I don't quite understand how. Is it just because Elise?
It's early game. I think it's the early game rating. As you can sort of see there on the graph.
Post 35.
No, that's Rascal Jester. Lexi.
Oh right. I can't. Colors are hard.
Do you need some coffee, mate?
Probably a third one. Yeah, we'll keep it going. But we won't talk about my third coffee one, because actually, in all fairness, that makes sense. Because yeah, when Rascal Jesters will spike, it will be just in mid to late game when Elise has completely fallen off the side of the map. It just doesn't matter what this champion does anymore. Aatrox will either have to do everything or nothing.
Dice overextended, gets stunned with the double bomber. Hatchimetra charmed, and the damage is not quite coming through in time, but the Vault Breaker, the extra punch through, takes down the Ahri in the mid lane, and Flawless going for the dive under the tower. Hatch will flash away, and the Burning Core jungler gets out unscathed. First blood to the Jester.
Oh, and that slow that you highlighted already coming through. Recap beautifully setting that up for Hatchimetra, and then it was just a cookie cutter kill throughout. It was good to see that Flawless was trying to go for something, trying to find a punish, and he is going to be able to get his bot side now. He did get the Scuttle Crab. He's going to be able to rotate around. It looks like he's actually going to go for an invade, which is really heads up, because if you remember the summoners and you remember what they had, what Hatchimetra was doing, this is an opportunity to maybe still triple buff. His bot side is also pushed in, so hopefully Yuhi can actually come and escort and make sure nothing's going to happen. But actually, he's not even going to have to worry about that, because Hatchimetra is going to have to do his golems first.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, slow pathing from Hatchimetra, and is going to get punished.
Yeah, and I think it's important that Flawless is doing a little bit of this counter jungle, because on an Elise, going for a gank or a counter gank rather that results in your mid laner giving up first blood is not great, especially when we've already highlighted how Burning Core kind of need to get things going in the early stages. So smart stuff from Flawless. Is now going to be able to return to his own jungle, and Hatchimetra is going to see that Brambleback has unfortunately gone from this world for the time being.
Yeah, he is going to be trying to figure out where a ward is. You actually saw him with the sweepers going around. Now he's going to just clear out the chickens, which were just all left for him. And he's already pinging on the map, right? He pinged warning. He knows exactly where Flawless is doing, because he's like, well, he's going to go Gromp, probably then blue buff, combo those at the same time, and then go around and get the wolves, and then we're just going to have to figure out. This is just pathing, and this is something that Hatchimetra has always been really good at doing. This is what a lot of junglers at pro level have to be really good at doing. This is why there's cross-map plays and everything. But as it stands, Rascal Jester are more than happy for this game to just kind of be like, okay, well, Flawless takes away some stuff. It's not great for Hatchimetra, but Vi will just have a point-and-click ultimate that's going to do more than most of Elise's kit, especially if you miss one or two things from Elise.
Oh, yeah. I mean, late game Elise is so dependent on her cocoon, sort of lives or dies by her ability to land that ability. But with these early Sorks Hughes picked up, I like this from Flawless. The Elise wants to be getting on map, wants to be ganking as much as possible, and extra movement speed on a jungler is a stat that's really, really underrated, I feel.
No, absolutely. That small amount of movement speed. If you ever watch those YouTube videos where people time taking boots, not taking boots, where you can get out onto the map and everything, it's one of those really surprising things where if you don't actually go in and just look at it, you're just like, oh my god, I can get from base to golems in like 4 or 5 seconds faster. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you actually start quantifying it, especially in pro play more than anything else,
Oh, absolutely.
that's where the differences lie, right? Clear times are such an important thing for a lot of junglers, and being able to alter your clear paths is what makes a good pro player into a top pro player. And it's one of these adaptability things. You just got to know it or you don't know it. And half the time I have no idea what they're doing. I'm not going to lie.
Half the time, maybe it seems like they have no idea what they're doing. But
I mean, yeah,
I definitely resonate with that, Lexi. There have been numerous occasions where I've left a laner out to dry because I didn't have boots and I wasn't able to get there in time. Although I'm pretty sure that taking Krugs was more important. It's been a pretty tepid early game thus far. Drake has been on the map for a little bit. Harold is going to be joining us soon, and Burning Core, they haven't really been able to assert themselves as much as they would like. This is still good from Flawless, though, going for these counter-jungling onto Hatchemetcha. But if you look at the CS, the Vi's basically even with the Elise at this point.
And that was a 10 CS differential at that moment in time. The thing is, Hatchemetcha has just been far more disciplined when it comes to farming and just making sure they're clear. And the other thing that Hatchemetcha now doesn't have to worry about is Recap will always now have Prio. So it's going to take the Ari using multiple spells where it takes Recap 2 bombs. Then he can just roam. Or at minimum, just make sure Hatchemetcha hasn't got to worry about an engage, hasn't got to worry about an invade. Now, too late for him, obviously. He can't give Recap the blue buff, which he would have really liked to do. But it did mean he's been able to farm his camps more effectively, and now he has a level advantage. And I honestly think he wins this against Flawless in a head-to-head 1v1, though he's not going to be allowed to have that because obviously Rayfarki had priority.
In the bot lane, Secret attempting to get on top of Yuhi, but obviously able to dash over that wall. Zeri is so funky, isn't she?
I love playing Zeri.
All that mobility, so much fun.
It is for the person playing her.
For the person playing it, definitely.
Yeah. I have loads of fun playing it. It's great. Good skins as well already. Like I think there's a lot of.
Hatchemetcha might be caught out here, going for a 1v1 onto Flawless as Secret has roamed up from the bot lane, is looking to make an aggressive play onto Dice, who is forced to dash away. Rayfarki coming over the wall, and Hatchemetcha oversteps, but has forgot he's got a Zillion on his team, so flashes away with a Chrono Shift on his back.
All right, this is awkward. Hatchemetcha just technically lost 2 ults for the side of Rascal Jester in just back-to-back plays. First, you go to ult an Elise. You never ult an Elise as a Vi because your ult is never going to connect half the time.
Nope.
Unless prior CC has already been set up for you, then absolutely go for it. You've got a Renekton, you've got a Zillion, you've got a Tahm Kench. There are ways that you can CC chain this Elise. But on your own, you're not going to be able to do it. Even if you queue into R, there is a period of time where there is a buffer and Flawless could get around it, especially in Spider form, obviously. Not such a fan of that. Bit awkward. The Chrono Shift, hey, everybody does that. We're human, but oh my god, Burning Core.
Yeah, trying to make a play onto Sol, but Secret arriving just in time. Ooh, pretty funky stuff there from you. He is the overcharge passive going to clear out that wave, and meanwhile, his top side taking away Shirley around about the 9-minute mark. So a bit more proactive now from Burning Core, but a consequence of those series of plays on the top lane was that Yuhi actually got a fair bit of free time on the bot lane, able to equalize that CS and pick up a plate for himself as well. So good stuff from the Zeri there as Hatchemetcha sees that the Herald went down and is going to respond by taking this Drake.
Yeah, and Hatch has been playing catch-up pretty much all game for obvious reasons, but Secret's all still looking to find an opportunity, but because of the thick skin, you can just go, it's fine, I'll just take like 2-3 auto attacks. Yuhi doesn't hurt me at the moment, so you just keep farming as best you can. When it comes to the head-to-head, I mean, you can tell where these 2 bot lanes are going. They've both gone for the cull, they're both trying to farm up, and they're going to be trying to look for something, but you don't really want to fight a Zeri when you don't know where their jungler is.
Well, I think you know where the jungler is now. It's in your lane. Flawless reveals himself and may look to summon the Herald instead, going to be walking towards the mid laners. Hatchemetcha and Recap are also looking at making an incursion into the bottom half of the map. It's good to see these guys pairing up. One of the duos that has been in the league a little bit longer.
But they're going to be able to just
for this, but no.
They're going to be able to secure this. And what I think is really useful for the side of Burning Core in this very weird timing is the fact is their own blue buff is on a really weird timer that is just not normal, right? Like this timer is still persistent from that first invade that happened, right? And that blue buff was taken at a weird timing. It was taken about 2 minutes after you would expect it to normally be taken from the Elise, even if she does start red, which then has that cascading effect, which in turn means that everything's a bit weirder, and now Hachimetra isn't always sure where Flawless is, so Flawless can show up in random spots, like this bot lane bush.
Yeah, and I like this from both teams actually recognizing that bot lane is the place to be. The top side is, but for both these squads, is going to carry you a decent way into the mid game. But champions like Ari, like Zillion, like Renekton, Natrox, they're not huge late game damage threats, but Aphelios and Zeri absolutely thrive dishing out the deeps in those late game team fights. This is a lot of time invested by Flawless, though. He kind of needs to summon the Herald at some point or make a dive happen. Otherwise, the XP that this Elise is leeching away from Burning Core will be not negligible.
Absolutely. I love that you brought that up as a point, because Hachimetra has always been out of range and has just kind of been shadowing the bot lane. Like, even both mid laners came down, knew what was going to happen,
Flawless
and then had
still
to reset.
Here.
Like,
Flawless is still there. Okay, they've spotted Hachimetra moving into the mid lane, and Dice expending the Spirit Rush to dash away as finally the Elise is going to be making a play, taking down the Calm Kench, but the kill goes to Fujimoto, the Yumi, picking up the gold. Not what you want to happen.
Oh, but we've got to consider we're not even considering a dive here. That is so scary. That is so surprising, but it just shows that the side of Burning Core have a lot of respect or just fear, potentially, that Rascal Jester will collapse on them and it will go bad, right? There's no belief that this will work out. I know if we were in the LPL, Middlecott, there would have been a dive happening. They would have gone for those kills. It would have been a bit messy, but probably would have gone Burning Core favor because they were first to the play. But they didn't believe in themselves, so it's not going for them. And Rayfarki isn't going to have enough to kill Ino because both of them have ults, so basically both of them become their empowered selves, and it's almost like Shreema history is just repeating itself for everybody. And
I like that. That was a little bit of a fairy tale. If they believe in themselves more, then they'll win. I like that.
I believe it. Hey, I've got to find your CGA copium here, right?
Oh,
like,
no, I was thinking a little league baseball team or something, I don't know, like some sponsors pulled funding and they need to like get one of the dads to coach them to go to the championship.
I love this idea.
And you just wanted to dunk on CGA. Okay, I know what's up with you, man.
I mean, they lost Arya, man. Like, I'm still not over that.
We still talking about that, man. Come on, it's
yes.
It's been a while. It's been a while. They've got hybrid. They've got hybrid now. Yeah, hybrid's really good.
I mean, I think maybe the reason I'm not over it is because KT refused to play Arya because they happened to get maybe the best rookie for career mid laners. So I'm kind of just salty more than anything else. It's unredundant because I'm bringing up a player that doesn't even play in this league and hasn't played in this league for now a full season.
That's so
for a full
weird.
Year.
That's so weird.
Yeah, but players to have got a similar caliber name in this game, at least, it is going to kind of fall back to these two mid laners because, weirdly enough, there's not really been a huge advantage from these two mid laners. Like, we saw that first blood happen, and then nothing really happened much since. We see them landing like these stuns and things happen, and then it kind of goes, and we're done.
God, trading with a Zillion is just the most demoralizing thing in the world.
Oh, it's worse on ARAM.
Oh. Just seeing him just throw a bomb, slow you, and then you know that the next one's going to hit guaranteed. And because he's running the spell deck, obviously he can drop that ignite on you as well for a little bit of extra damage. And now that he's level 11, obviously that Chrono Shift is upgraded, and Recap is starting to turn into that just disgusting late game menace that a Zillion can be, where the bombs do 1 million damage, and you put that ultimate on someone, and the enemy team just can't touch them until it expires.
And it's just going to get from bad to worse for him, realistically. Like, there's not going to be at any point in time where it's going to get easier for the side of Burning Core. Like, the easy time was pre-11. Was pre-6, realistically, more than anything else. And that's when Rascal Jester got the kill. That's when it all worked out for them. It was at level 4. So...
I mean, to be fair to Burning Core, they do have a goal lead in this game, and they are going to be able to take down this first tower in the bot lane. So they're doing proactive things, but I think that what we're trying to get at is they need to be doing more proactive things. So if we see an explosive team fight from them come out in the next, like, say, 5 minutes, maybe around this Drake or the next one, then we start to talk about this team in a bit more of a positive light. But I think for now, Just needs to be a little bit more.
And this is a good proactive play from Burning Core, taking this second dragon not long after it also spawns as well. So they're also identifying that, hey, we got Rift Herald. That was great. But we traded a dragon. They ultimately, Rascal Jester were able to get a trade for it. This is exactly what we want. And Ray Farkey just going huge onto Ino, getting a huge trade there. Another one like that, and they will kill them, I guarantee.
There's a Secret moving towards topside to try and ensure that that doesn't happen. It's been like decently active on the map, but yeah, I think this is more about the Herald, which is now onto Riff, and obviously with the Hex Gates, everyone can get into the jungle that a little bit quicker, so your timings around your resets need to be rejigged just that little bit.
Interesting enough, the Hex Tech Dragon is obviously fantastic for both AD carries for obvious reasons, but it's also not that awful for the side of Rascal Jester as opposed to Burning Core, simply because one of these teams is going to benefit more from having auto attack speed more than the other. Burning Core would love it, but let's be real, Aatrox and Elise, they don't get all their damage out from just doing certain things. We've got a Night Harvester Elise. You're not doing loads of auto attacks. This isn't a Diana, for instance.
Yeah, no.
And a Vi will greatly be accelerated and can actually put out huge damage. I mean, we all saw that like triple kill that happened over in LCK, where it was like, there's no way they should win this, but they still end up winning it because Vi is a very balanced champion at the moment. When you hit 6 items, Soul, that's dirty as well. They're trying to steal your camps away.
That's quite cute. That's quite cute. Oh, that's not dirty. That is standing his ground. That is defending his property rights.
You know what? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
He's got the Gadsden flag flying above his house or something. I don't know.
Oh my god, this return damage as well.
Oh, this is a lot. Dice ulting away just in time to get away from Secret as Fight Peters out. Still 1 kill apiece, 18 minutes into this game. But I think that engagement, a sign of things to come, hopefully, Lexi.
Well, and I mean, this is why we have such huge hopes for Soul and Secret, this bot lane for Rascal Jester, because they're just so good and so proficient at doing plays over and over again. Little bit sus about this Rift Herald summon. They did have a while longer on the timer, so I'm a little bit surprised that that's when they decided to do it. Typically, obviously, you like to throw down a Rift Herald and try and force people to do a dragon for a mid turret and try and force a trade to some extent, right? Didn't decide to go for that. Couldn't put it down the mid lane and actually get this turret. But currently, both these sides have got very even mid lanes. Bot lane is where it's actually a little bit surprising because they were able to get like 4 plates, I think, for Yuki in this bot side with that Rift Herald that also Flawless did throw down there very early on. But this is going to be interesting.
Well, attempting to catch out the Elise, but she can repel away into the sky. Oh, the ult forward actually by Hatchmecha diving onto the Elise Yumi combo. The cat and the spider going to be splatted down very, very shortly. The Elise already dead. A double kill, 2 more kills for Rascal Jester. Well, a second kill in this game, rather. It's just going to be that again. Lexi, we're getting a little bit of blood, but I want more. I want more.
Me too, absolutely. And there was a lot of reactiveness, and I thought this was fantastic from Fujimoto, aggressively like throwing out the ult before being attached to anyone, which is something you never see. Obviously, they can get the benefit of doing that from the darkness that they had there because there was just no vision for Rascal Jester. But then because of it, they weren't actually able to fully connect the route onto anybody. They eventually got into Secret, and it's kind of like, well, that's fine, but like, you've already lost somebody in this exchange already. Flawless dying very early on and then not really being able to capitalize on anything. And it did look for a brief moment of time that Ino was going to die, but I mean, Renekton Q.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
And I feel like it kind of speaks to a problem with Burning Core's composition that we haven't really highlighted as of yet, is that they don't have just a tank. They don't have someone that can just stand in the way. Yes, Ray Farkey can kind of operate in that manner on this Aatrox. But the thing about Aatrox is, in order to get access to that healing, to that drain tank capability, you need to be pretty much in melee range of the enemy team. And when we've already sort of highlighted the kite potential that Rascal Jester have, that's really, really difficult to do. So I think Burning Core, they need to continue to sort of be proactive and not allow Rascal Jester to be the ones dictating the pace of this game.
And this was something they could have gone for, remember? Like, they decided to pick this Aatrox, and there were multiple tanks all open for the side of Burning Core. Only the Darius was banned.
Oh no, Yuhi doesn't realize that he's playing with fire, but with the flash, he's able to escape the flames. 5 seconds until this Drake spawns, and Burning Core actually the team with priority around it. A teleport coming through from Rayfaki, but he is going to be landing onto a bomb, exploding onto the Aatrox, but not dealing quite enough damage. Soul dashing forward, attempting to get the root onto UT, as in dives Hatchemet to the fight on a solo suicide mission into the backline, as she's going to be the first skill to fight in favor of Burning Core. And now Rascal Jester holding position in the top half of the river, but not looking to go forward just yet.
Yeah, I need to find a pick first. Rayfaki is getting a very big flank, and this is something an Aatrox would absolutely adore to do, especially just getting down that poke damage, just doing what they need to do. Yuhi is also getting to play an elongated teamfight, and the Zerial was used, but hey, ultimately it's them getting the victory here.
Yeah, it's that W, it's that spark surge, the big zap from Yuhi on this area that's enough to poke down the members of Rascal Jesters and force them away from the Drake. They will trade it for a mid lane tower, so gold for late game buff ends up being the trade on the map, but it's one that Burning Core, I feel like, are going to be relatively happy with.
Yeah, that was a turret that was going to go down. Like, we all know that the outer turrets are eventually all going to go down at some point in this game. If ultimately that has to be the trade, that's fine for them. But this is where it brought us in, right? This is where Yuhi almost got caught out. This was almost awful, but thankfully he was just an inch away. Shirley is also coming in very useful there, just to be that extra bit ahead. But where it all goes so wrong is you're playing a Tom Kench Zillion comp. You can't go too far out of range from the rest of your team, or that's where everything goes bad. And look, Hachimechi, you're fighting a 1v4, and the rest of your team can't help you out. You've got the tools in your comp to help you, but you need to be going in with Ino. The fact that Yuki was able to get so far away was honestly the saving grace for the side of Burning Core.
And I think the key thing as well, with Rascal Jester sort of chasing after their jungler, that meant that Rayfaki could stand in the front line and be the drain tank in melee range of the enemy team, which is something that he shouldn't be able to do. So Rascal Jester really sort of mis-executing on their composition, they're mis-executing on the fight, and Burning Core able to capitalize. It's still not a decisive advantage for either of these teams in this game, though.
This is kind of why we've seen these teams kind of fall into the middle to lower of the pack squads, right? This is why we've kind of said there's like 3 or 4 teams. They're looking for again on something on dice, but hey, you just don't land everything quite perfect. You're just able to walk away, and it's been a lot of these trades happening throughout this game.
Yeah, a lot of those sorts of trades, and they haven't involved this Zeri more often than not, which meant that Yuhi has actually been able to get himself to a decent point on this marksman. Has already working towards that third item, going to be the Lord Dominic's Regard 1-0-1 on the Zeri, and we know how disgustingly powerful this champion could be once she hit 3 items. I wonder if at that point Burning Core go, yeah, we can start to play a little bit more aggressively.
You have to hope, right? That's going to be the spot they're going to spike up. And at this moment in time, it does seem like more gold has been funneled into this Zeri for obvious reasons, with that first turret going down in bot lane, all those turret plating, very similar CS, also getting that kill and assist. If Zeri can get to 3 items, that's going to be at least, I don't know, 1 team fight where Burning Core should really force Rascal Jester's hand and kind of force them to play into them, because that's exactly what they want. They've got a Yuumi, they've got that Rayfaki Aatrox. Like, they want the side of Rascal Jester to run into them, and it's not always going to happen, because eventually Soul will just become this terrifying Aphelios monster, and they're not going to be able to do it. But Flawless has got a Yuumi on top of him at the moment, and it's just able to just get in, get out.
Yeah, I like that. Sort of Hatchemecha jumps over the wall and discovers a giant spider lady, looking sort of quite menacing, just standing in a bush.
With a cat on the shoulder.
With a cat on the shoulder. That's definitely something that you'd see in a UK town or night out as well.
Probably, actually.
That was very close to connecting onto Soul there, Flawless. Not quite connecting on that cocoon, and takes a fair chunk of damage in return. Both these top laners, not quite level 16, going to be brawling in the bottom half of the map. And Rayfaki winning out thus far. The Renekton may have already fallen away from his point of power.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to double down and go also, you can't take extended trades when Rayfaki already built up his Conqueror stacks before you even get started. Like, this is a losing battle. You do not beat an Aatrox when they're Conqueror stacked, especially as a Renekton. right? Renekton relies on very early game burst, typically against an Aatrox. Otherwise, he's going to have to get really late game, and he can kind of just be this stat stick more than anything else. But typically, stat sticks are just normally meant for really awkward spots. Like, if you have X stats and can you beat me? And it's kind of more of a theory checker. It's kind of a competency checker in a sense, almost, right? Whereas Ray Farkey, we know him to be a competent player, so it's pretty weird that this is the line of play. And remember, they drafted this composition. They drafted the Vi knowing that they've got the Vi already. We want a Renekton, and then they didn't see any top lane play. Like, Hachimecha didn't have an opportunity to go top to try and gank Ray Farkey a bunch, to try and get Renekton extended early. So now we've just kind of got a stat stick that's going around and will be good in team fights, but not going to be great on the side lanes.
So, Lexi, I have a question for you. In this game right now, there are 4 kills. 2 for Rascal Jester, 2 for Burning Core. A Drake is spawning in 20 seconds' time. Do we see these two teams with equal numbers of Drakes and kills? Hold that thought, maybe not, as Hachimecha eating that cocoon, but it's actually Ray Farkey who's going to take a bit more damage. Burning Core now diving forward with Dyson, using that final chapter as well. Multiple members of the Jesters locked down, but the damage isn't quite there to back up the play for Burning Core, as Hachimecha once again going into the back line, but this time is able to escape. The Crocodile charmed up in the front line as Ino goes golden, may just be the sacrifice. He's getting turned into a handbag, but dashes over the wall just in time. Somehow, no one goes down. Oh! Sniped on the back line. Vi is gone.
Well, there was a lot of bad there, and there was a lot of good there for Burning Core. And ultimately, it came out on top. Also, securing Hachimecha at the end means there's no reason for Rascal Jesters to fight. If you fight them, you are flipping, and it's a losing flip, and you've got to try and kill them at least. Good luck with that one, so they concede it over. It goes over, and I want to highlight Fujimoto once again on this Yuumi, because this Yuumi ult was blimmin' huge for them. A lot of early damage gets taken out, and Ray Farkey and the side of Flawless have to be credited, but Shrelius gets locked down early. Everyone's able to walk around a little bit faster, which means they get that lockdown. Secret is held in an awkward spot, and Soul is able to start doing that return damage. The issue is it's all onto Ray Farkey, who is more than happy to heal it all back up. And then because they've gone this fight for so long, Yuhi actually gets to pop off. He starts to actually get a lot more of those auto attacks. I would have liked to have obviously seen Yuhi in a much better spot earlier on, but the fact that they're able to secure this kill just means it turns into so much more for them. And honestly, Burning Core just playing this team fight just better front to back than Rascal Jester.
Yeah, the execution in the hands of Burning Core. I mean, not for the lack of trying from Rascal Jester. Those damage numbers coming out from Recap and Soul are absolutely disgusting, but the rest of their teammates pale in comparison to them. And I think that, honestly, it was the fact that Ray Farkey and Flawless were able to bring just that little bit of extra damage for the side of Burning Core was the thing that really turned that fight around.
Yeah, just randomly having that extra damage. Ray Farkey obviously being far better at soaking up the damage and healing it far more effectively than what a Renekton can do, especially now at this mid to late game point. It doesn't really matter what build you go half the time. It feels like on Renekton, eventually you will just start falling off. Your abilities just won't do what an Aatrox does mid to late game. And that's the point that we're currently finding ourselves in now, because Ray Farkey was able to do about 1.7k damage. He was also able to heal up about 400-500 HP, which it keeps him alive in that fight. It actually means it's a winning objective for them. And the spot that you don't want to see yourself in as a Rascal Jesters fan is we're almost 30 minutes in, and Aatrox is outscaled Renekton, just straight up now. The other thing you don't want to see is Elise is still comparable to Vi.
Yes, I think it's important that we are highlighting Hachimecha here, because the ultimates have been... What's a word that's... Yeah, sus, as the Zoomers would say. That they've not been great, from my personal opinion. The Soul actually going very aggressive here onto Dice, Yuhi, and Co in the mid lane. Secret there to eat up his AD carry and protect them, keep them alive. But Burning Core are trying to make this happen, actually. I know teleporting into the backline does get charmed and pulled back towards Dice, but can slice himself away. Not too much damage being done with the Inferno Moonlight Vigil from Soul there, and once again, no one dies.
Oh, but each time this just happens, Burning Core have the first response around the map. They get to set up everything. They need to clear all the vision that Rascal Jesters have just set up. I mean, they've got that one ward that's always there, and no one ever clears it out. But I mean, hey, this is still, again, great for the side of Burning Core. But that one ward is saving Rascal Jesters.
200 IQ as crucially Recap's ultimate is still available. Hachimechi going into the battleline once again, but gets exploded. Ray Farkey causing chaos on the other side as 3 members of Rascal Jesters cannot stop the god of war. Recap going to be running away as Aino chased down by Yuhi. Burning Core, 3 kills in that fight, double their total for the game and head towards the Baron.
Ladies and gentlemen, while it's exciting to watch the other members of Burning Core, I want your eyes when this recap plays to watch Ray Farkey, because this man's singularity zones out the rest of the other members. We see him on the backline, and watch Ray Farkey, because 3 members of the side of Rascal Jesters get completely zoned out. And again, this is caused by Hachimechi ulting into a spot where he really doesn't need to be.
No.
Look at how far he is away, and then look at Ray Farkey, who completely splits this up and goes, nah, you two are going to stay back here, which then means the side of Rascal Jesters are playing a split team fight, and we've seen how this goes for them. It never works out, but honestly, the credit falls on Burning Core for the initiation and the execution, because it's flawless.
Absolutely, baby, making it work on this Elise. And once again, Lexi, Hachimechi diving in, this time onto an Elise, another target that you really can't get on top of. And yes, now Soul has completed 3 items on this Aphelios. He's incredibly powerful on this AD carry. He's matching up against Yuhi, who's already got 4.
Yeah, that's the spot, right? And we're playing hypercarry versus hypercarry. And you and me are very familiar with this because we had Jinx Aphelios when the rest of the world weren't doing that. So we're very attuned to 2 hypercarries. An item breakpoint is just destructive when it starts to get to mid to late game team fights. And it doesn't matter who your AD carry is. If you're a hypercarry versus another hypercarry and the enemy one has a Yumi and is an extra item ahead, you're losing. I'm sorry. You're almost always losing unless you've got something like a Sonar on your side who can kind of cheat the system a little bit. X-Tech
Soul on the table here for Burning Core. Ray Farkey split pushing in the top lane but has teleport available.
They can force this, remember. Soul
making
point.
the first move towards the Hex Tech Drake. They don't make a decision here, then Ray Farkey is just going to kill their entire base. It looks like they are going to go for the push. They are going to go for the flip. Taken by Hachimechi, who was able to break his way over the wall out of the pits. Ray Farkey chasing on for that inhibitor as Dice, with Yumi on his back, going forward onto multiple members of Rascal Jester, just trying to interrupt the recalls, just trying to buy some time for that Terror in the top lane. Not going to push any further, although saying that, keeping these minions barrened up and dealing a fair bit of damage to the Nexus Tower, and slides and glides himself away effortlessly.
Oh my god, but they get one of the towers like that. So that's just so much value for the side of Burning Core. They can willfully give up one dragon, not do anything too crazy. Yuhi almost secured it. And when your sparks are starting to do more like 700-800 damage, yeah, you are actually just flipping with a jungler at this point, especially when there's a lot of things like a Yumi, just Q just going around the side. Flawless also just throwing their spiderlings in. There's a lot to deal with. But the fact that Burning Core are making decisive moves like this, oh, I'm terrified for Rascal Jesters in playoffs, because if this might be the team you were expecting to hopefully see maybe as your bottom team, they just did a 5k Baron play on you. That is not good.
And the thing is as well, is that this is Burning Core winning in a style that I would associate with Rascal Jester.
I would agree.
Wait till late game, have recap on something that's going to scale extraordinarily well, have Soul on something that's going to scale extraordinarily well, and I mean, they're doing that in this game, but Burning Core just feel like they've got the edge, and it's Yuhi, honestly, the much maligned AD carrier man who I had some choice words for in the pre-game, but this time around, 4-0-2 on the Zeri, looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, and not only that, outpacing Soul. That's a player that was very much in our huge leaderboards, MVP caliber kind of player, Soul and Secret, but we haven't seen it. And something I want to highlight is something that I brought up at the very beginning when we first started playing this game, when we first started casting this match, was that you've got a Zillion, you've got a Tahm Kench. In these team fights, you've got a lot of rotations around. When Hachimechi went for that really long dive, the main criticism was actually like, your team can't keep up with you, mate. If your team is up with you, You should have infinite
Oh,
opportunities, but that hasn't come up yet. But we're getting terrified at moments like that where, honestly speaking, there shouldn't be any worry for Soul at that point. He should be able to play face up and very far forward, but there's always just this gap between them and the rest of the members on their team, and I worry that, Rascal Jester just not on the same page at this moment in time, because it really doesn't feel like that, because it feels like Burning Core are just 2 to 3 steps ahead.
Yeah, I think Burning Core will be feeling somewhat frustrated at the moment because there isn't really too much for them to do on the map. They're sort of just
Very true.
throwing these waves at Rascal Jester, not really going in for the dives because they don't feel confident doing that, which I think is a very, very smart decision versus, like you already mentioned, the Time Cage versus the Zillion, these champions that are so good at anti-diving. That Baron in a minute's time, though, is something that is going to intrigue them, as well as that Hextech Drake in 2 minutes would, of course, be Soul. So definitely stuff that they can play towards, and now I imagine we're going to start to see them a bit more focused on establishing vision around these areas rather than just standing at the base gates of Rascal Jester.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I was hopeful for, but I don't think we're going to be able to see it, is Dice to actually switch over his Ignite. I just don't think we're going to be needing that, and I was hopeful that their rotation was going to be actually having teleport in time for this Baron/Dragon, as just having the ability to go back and then TP straight back in is can be game-changing for these two team fights. It's gonna be important because obviously Burning Core are going to be setting up as much as they can within the top side of Rascal Jester's jungle and trying to set up any traps, and then they're just going to let Ray Farkey smash into Ino till honestly the end of time, because he does win this, and we've seen him win this countless times before. He'll keep doing it, and if there's no pressure from the rest of the side of Rascal Jester, they'll lose bot lane slowly.
Yeah, they will. Lexi, we're starting to see Burning Core move towards the Baron right now. Both those top laners do have teleport available, and both have pretty reliable ways of interrupting the other. Rayfaki moving off vision to try and join his team. This Baron has already basically gone. Hachimetra is going to be able to get over the wall, but cannot get the smite in time. Let's see if Rascal Jester can take the fight instead. A very backline teleport coming through from Ino, not immediately onto the front side of the fight, as the Vi is already dead. Secret just gobbling up his AD carry in time, as Burning Core still with the health bar advantages. Look how healthy Yuhi is. Look how dead Ino is. Look how dead the rest of the members of Rascal Jesters may just be in a moment, as this Zeri is absolutely popping off. The slows cannot stopping. Huge from Yuhi.
And Burning Core are going to take it all, middle court. Look at that!
Nexus open and taken out. Rascal Jesters fumble the bag in the final game of the regular season, and Burning Core take the win.